Thank you all for joining us here this morning. It's a big day, a truly exciting day, an important day for Kansas athletics and for the University of Kansas. My name's Reggie Robinson. I'm the Vice Chancellor for Public Affairs here at KU, and I'm delighted to welcome you here today to this news conference as we introduce our new Director of Athletics, Jeff Long. About 2 months ago, Chancellor Doug Girod began the process of identifying a new athletics leader for KU. To shepherd that search process, the Chancellor enlisted the remarkable assistance of Drew Jennings, who, as many of you know, has worn a great variety of hats through his association with the University of Kansas. He's a student athlete, graduate of our law school, served as a former interim director of athletics, has led our endowment association, has led any number of important search processes for the university. So Drew truly is among KU's most loyal and dedicated supporters, which is why the Chancellor tapped him to play this important leadership role. The process that Drew led concluded last week with the exciting announcement that Jeff Long would be joining the University of Kansas as our Director of Athletics. In just a moment, you'll hear from Drew, you'll hear from Chancellor Girod, and you'll hear from Jeff Long. At the end of Jeff's remarks, we'll open up the floor to Q&A from our friends in the media. Thanks for being here. During the Q&A, we just have some simple requests. We ask that you raise your hand, and somebody from staff will bring a microphone to you so that we'll all be able to hear your question. And so that Jeff can begin to put faces with names, we ask that you identify yourself and the outlet that you represent. At the conclusion of Q&A, Drew, Chancellor Girod, and Jeff will head out to another appointment, another engagement. But at that point, we will have a number of our Kansas athletics coaches available for small group interviews. Jim Marchioni and Chris Tyson, where are Jim and Chris? Over here. They can help you with that process when we get to that point in the program. Again, thank you all for being here on what is truly an exciting day for the University of Kansas as we welcome Jeff Long to KU and his wonderful family to KU as well. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the man who led the process for us, Drew Jennings. Drew.
Thank you, Reggie, and good morning. Reggie is far too humble to mention that he was the glue that kept this entire process together. At all hours of the day and night, tracking down the Chancellor, tracking down those of us working on the team. So we owe a debt of gratitude to Reggie. He would never tell you that, but I will. It was a privilege to be a part of this team, a member of this team that conducted the search for our new athletic director. A couple of people that worked closely with me and whose input was extremely vital were Ray Evans and Linda Sims, good friends of mine, former student athletes here, completely dedicated Jayhawks. And it's unfortunate that travel requirements kept both of them from attending today, and I know they're sorry they couldn't be here, and we are too. At the outset of this process, you learn a lot. We learned a lot about our Chancellor, even more so than we thought he knew. He's a man of his own mind, but he is extremely interested in wanting to know what others think. He and our consultant, Jed Hughes of Korn Ferry, who was remarkable as well, conducted interviews and discussions with probably 24 community, faculty, alumni leaders, university people to get a sense of expectations, a sense of their feelings, such that by the time the search team had been pulled together and the process was to begin, he was able to provide clarity for us in terms of the nature and the characteristics of the person he wanted us to search for. Obviously, a person of integrity, a person who had fiscal and business acumen, a person with organizational and management skills, someone who had experience in hiring coaches, someone who had experience fundraising, a dynamic communicator, a person who was committed to the totality of the athletic department and all the student athletes therein, and hopefully someone who had national connections in college athletics. And we added the ability to leap tall buildings in a single bound. I firmly believe that we checked all the boxes except one. We were unable to determine Jeff's vertical leap.
Yeah.
And that remains to be demonstrated at his choosing. We had a great process. It worked well for approximately 7 weeks. We think we have provided an opportunity for the chancellor to embrace a new member of his leadership team. This chancellor means business. As pleasant and human as he may appear, which he is, he does indeed mean business, and it's my privilege to invite him to the podium.
Thank you very much, Drew, and thank you everybody for being here to join us this morning for what is obviously a very exciting day for the University of Kansas and Kansas athletics. It's a thrill to be here to welcome Jeff Long as our new athletic director and to welcome him for the first time officially on campus along with his lovely family, who I know he's going to introduce later on, and to really help you understand a little bit about what Jeff Long brings to the University of Kansas, to our athletics department, but really to the university as a whole and who we are as a whole. Obviously, he's one of the most seasoned athletic directors in the country. He brings more than 2 decades of experience in Division I athletics administration, most recently at the University of Arkansas, where he led a program with 19 sports and some 460 student athletes. And really revitalized and reshaped that entire program with a focus on student athlete success, and really made it one of the best in the country. And so clearly brings to Drew's checklist a number of those, if not all of those elements to the University of Kansas. But additionally, he does have that national profile, that national expertise, being, as an example, the first chair of the college football playoff committee, and has played extensively at the national level, not just at the collegiate level. And we're very fortunate to have a man of this caliber joining our team here at the University of Kansas. But as Drew said, he's also a tremendous fit for our university. He brings tremendous integrity, his commitment to student-athlete success on the field, but also in the classroom, taking Arkansas from one of the lower-ranked ones from student-athlete academic success to one of the best in their conference. And certainly that's a passion that we all share as well, is making sure we're preparing our student-athletes for long and successful careers, most of which will not be in athletics. And that's critically important to us all. But he also understands the role that athletics plays within the university as a whole, and how important athletics can be to advance all our missions of education, research, outreach, and service. And so I'm really excited to have him joining our leadership team here at the University of Kansas. When we began the process back in May, which Drew talked about to some degree, we were really very optimistic going into that search, because we knew we have an outstanding university, we have an outstanding athletics program, we have a great national profile, and we knew that that would be very attractive to someone of high caliber, and I think we've demonstrated that by convincing Jeff to come and join our team here. And I really want to thank the faculty, the students, the staff who engaged in that process early on that Drew talked about, as we went out and said to people, tell us what's important about an athletic director from your perspective of where you sit in our enterprise. And they were extremely helpful in informing that. I'd really like to thank Drew Jennings for committing a huge amount of time to this. He literally dropped everything to come and engage in this process, and along with Reggie, led us through what I think we would all say was a fairly efficient process. I was probably the rate-limiting step as I was out of the country for a couple weeks of that. But that did not stop them from keeping the process moving forward throughout it. Clearly would like to thank Sean Lester, who is our deputy AD, who stepped in as interim AD and has led the department for the last couple of months and has done so without missing a beat on anything and has really done a great job leadership in that role. And I know will continue to help this transition to our new athletic director. So Sean, thank you. And I'd really like to thank all the folks from athletics that are here and those that aren't for your tireless work through this transition and making sure that we never missed a hitch, that everybody kept running full speed ahead and very successfully so. And I know that you'll do a great job of helping us through this transition as well. But most importantly, we want to thank our students, our fans, and our alumni who've been so supportive through this process. Really, over the last years I've been in this role, have really shared with me what athletics means to them, how important it is in their perception to our university and helping us stay connected with them and their perceptions on what we were doing well and what we could improve on. And that was extremely helpful to me over the course of this year. So this truly is an exciting day for the University of Kansas. I told Jeff it was destined to be a great day because it's also my 37th wedding anniversary. 37 years is a long time, right, babe? It's been a great journey. And I'm delighted to welcome Jeff Long as the new athletic director at the University of Kansas. Jeff.
Well, I don't think Coach Self is going to like my vertical jump, Coach. I don't think I can help you there. But I want to thank everybody for coming out today. It's a beautiful day to be in Kansas, and I couldn't be more excited about taking over the reins of the Kansas athletic program. Chancellor, thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to lead Kansas athletics. I'm incredibly proud to be part of a world-class institution that's an AAU institution and really is reaching around the globe, as it says in our motto here. In my conversations with the Chancellor, I learned that we share the belief that intercollegiate athletics is an important part of a university campus and that we're expected to excel just like every area of the campus is. And that's what we'll do, Chancellor. Chancellor, I'm humbled by the responsibility you have entrusted to me, and I promise you and the KU family that I will work tirelessly to achieve the goals of the university and the athletic program. So thank you for this opportunity. And I want to thank Drew Jennings and Vice Chancellor Reggie Robinson. From the moment I met with them during the process, I knew I was meeting with two men who had deep love for Kansas, deep love for this university. And it had an immediate impact on me. I thought, you know what, if these are the kind of people that are in Kansas, then this is the kind of place I want to be. So Reggie and Drew, thank you for the role you played in the search, and thank you for all you shared with me. I want to thank our coaches and staff that are here today. I appreciate you taking the time to be here this morning. And I do want everybody to know that I specifically said to our coaches and staff, do not change your recruiting plans, do not change your vacation plans to be here today. I know how precious the family time is for coaches and staff, so they don't need to be here for this little piece of Kansas history. It's more important that they be with their families. And just so you know, I wanted to thank Coach Beatty. He called and I insisted that he remain with his family because, again, he had very little time to spend with them. And I respected him wanting to be here, but I know that it's more important for him to be with his family. I also know there's a number of coaches here that might have adjusted their recruiting plans just a little bit to be here. And I do appreciate that. And I know Coach Self and other coaches are headed out as soon as this press conference is over to go on those recruiting trips. And as you all know, recruiting is the lifeblood of what we do in athletics. So I wish you safe travels and good hunting. Now today I'm joined by three very special women in my life. I'd first like to acknowledge my wife, Fanny. She and I will be celebrating 26 years on August 1st, the day I officially begin here. And I really didn't realize it until you were talking about your anniversary. But I'm just excited. As I arrive here in Lawrence, I'm just excited about our lives together as I was 26 years ago. Sorry, I love you, Fanny. Thank you for all your support. Okay, I also have two other women with me. My wonderful daughters, Stephanie, who is in graduate school in Arkansas studying cognitive neuroscience. Don't ask me what it is. Stephanie, would you stand, please? And I'm also joined by my youngest daughter, Christina, who is an undergraduate journalism student. Now, she attends a university in a bordering state, and that's where I'll leave it. I love you girls, and so glad you're with me today. I have a vision for KU athletics. My vision starts with the student athletes, and it starts with the 3 C's. And those 3 C's for me are compete, compete, and compete. We're going to compete in everything we do in KU athletics. Our student athletes are going to begin by competing in the classroom. We're going to encourage them semester by semester to achieve their personal best. At the end of it, it'll culminate in a degree from the University of Kansas. And there's nothing more important than striving to reach that degree. We will compete in all 18 sports. I love each and every one of them. I love every student athlete that's in our program, and we're going to compete in each and every one of them. We won't win every contest, but every one of our student athletes will compete with every fiber of their being to win for the Crimson and Blue. You know what? We're going to compete in our communities. We're going to serve Lawrence and the surrounding region. Helping our neighbors provides our student athletes an opportunity to learn and grow by serving many of the families that will join them in the stadiums and the stands. So we're going to be reaching out, continuing to do that in our communities, and we're going to support this great city and our region. As I shared with the Chancellor, I'm an educator at heart. So I want to use the lessons learned in the classroom, the lessons learned through competition, and the lessons learned through helping others to prepare our student athletes for the ultimate competition, and that's the game of life. My job is to help these young people succeed in college and succeed long after they leave this campus. Now, Kansas Athletic Program. We will be guided by the following principles. We will have an unwavering commitment to the student athlete's health, safety, and well-being. That's our highest priority. We will also have an unwavering commitment to doing things in the best interest of our student athletes. We will insist on honesty and integrity throughout our program, and we will work with our coaches to remove the obstacles to success. We will generate and strive to generate the financial resources we need to run this program, to compete in the Big 12 and compete nationally. We will be a program that values that financial support from our fans, and thusly, we will manage our resources wisely. We will encourage our supporters to join us by telling the incredible stories that each and every one of our student athletes has to tell. So in closing, I'd like to stay one message to the KU family specifically about our football team. It's time to break the cycle. It's not going to be easy. We're going to need all of your help to do it. Coach Beatty is our coach, and we all need to support this program, and we need to support the young men that play the game. Our student athletes are working incredibly hard to win for Kansas. They are Jayhawks, and they need your support, and this program needs your support. Become a season ticket holder. Buy a single game ticket. Join the Williams Fund. Do whatever you can do to help us be successful. It's time to break the cycle. Chancellor, thank you again for this incredible opportunity you provided me. I look forward to getting to work on August 1st, even if it is my anniversary.
Very fitting.
And I can't wait to wave the wheat with our students, and I can't wait. Rock chalk.
Jeff, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to open the floor to Q&A from our friends in the media, most of whom are located in the first two rows up here. I'll bring a wireless mic from this end, and my colleague Andy will have a wireless mic from that end. We'll have a good 20 to 30 minutes for Q&A, so we're happy to get started for our media. Matt.
Matt Tate from the Lawrence Journal-World here in town. Welcome to town, first of all.
Thank you.
You've obviously been around and seen a bunch of different athletic departments and faced different challenges and advantages. I just wonder, the challenges that are here, are they unique compared to what you've seen in the past? And then what would you identify as maybe the biggest challenge maybe on August 1st?
You know, I think that every athletic program is unique in its own ways. As I begin here, I'm not even sure how unique and what those unique ways are, but I'm sure there are unique things to Kansas that's unlike any other place I've been. But there's also things that I take from every university I've been to that I think are applicable here at Kansas. So I look forward to getting in and working with the coaches and staff and finding out how things are being done now. And just my job is to see if we can do them better, to see if we can help each and every one of our programs. Again, I mentioned removing obstacles for coaches are really important, removing them for our student athletes. Administration is there to assist those coaches and support those student athletes. So that's really what I'm looking forward to doing. You know, Sean Lester has done a great job, and Jim Marchioni and some others getting me information. I'm just now really starting to dig into that. Excited to get to campus on September 1st and find out what I don't know.
Kansas City Star. Good to see you. How do you measure success and progress in football?
Well, you know, big picture wise, I think for our program, it's first our goal is set to reach a bowl game. And so we'll strive to reach a bowl game, and once we reach that level, we won't stop there. Then we'll move on to more games, and then ultimately, I'm not shy and say about someday down the road, we're going to win the Big 12 championship. We've done it here at Kansas in the past, and it's something we're certainly going to work every day and night to do.
Tom Keegan from the Lawrence Journal-World. How long does a coach deserve, in fairness? How quickly can you evaluate a struggling coach?
Well, I think as an AD that has been around football my entire career and has been very directly involved with football really my entire career, you know, one of the first challenges would be to get in and start assessing our program. You know, I've had good conversations with Coach Beatty, looking forward to seeing his operation, understanding how he goes about business in the inside, and then certainly they're preparing for that first game on September 1. So we'll really start to know the progress of the program on September 1 when the season begins.
Chris Lazarino with Kansas Alumni Magazine. If I could ask a question of you, Chancellor, and you, Drew. Chancellor, many leaders over the decades have turned to Drew for important advice at this sort of stage. What does he bring that the leaders look for? And Drew, if you could follow up with, what are you looking for when you do these searches? When do you know that you have the right fit?
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I think when you look at Drew's career trajectory, not just his success here at KU as an athlete, but as a student and then as a law graduate, and going on to lead Kansas City Power and Light as a CEO, obviously has tremendous experience as an executive and understands what it takes to be a successful executive, brings that same skill set then to anything that he takes on, including a search like this. Obviously, his experience over those years, as you referred to, of my predecessors, both Bob Hemingway and Bernadette Gray Little, reaching out to Drew to help lead various elements of the university, and in particular, various times through athletics. That experience that he brings to the table, his deep knowledge of our program, has just been invaluable through this process.
Well, I think I recited the criteria the Chancellor laid out for us at the opening of my remarks today. And I think those are valid for probably just about any search that's conducted. In today's world of information access, you can find out amazing things about people. It doesn't matter who they are. And frankly, anyone who wants to do that type of exploring can do that. The thing that I've always found that I feel most comfortable with after you've looked at all the measurable and the visible data about a person in their life is to meet them. There's nothing quite like looking into the eye and visiting and reading the body language of a person, and that's been true my entire life. I tend to trust my gut, trust my instincts after all the rest of the homework is done, and you can read people, I think, pretty well. I operate that way with my children, and I don't mean to mix social and professional life, personal, but meeting Jeff, for example, for the first time was one of those pivotal moments. You know, you can read a person who is pleasant to meet, very sociable, a gentleman, a professional, but who is tougher than nails. It just in the way he communicates and the resolve with which he describes those things that make him tick. You can tell that, like the Chancellor, this guy means business.
Jeff, Sam Mellinger with the Kansas City Star. You talked about, football specifically and sort of in general removing obstacles for coaches. Have you had enough time, can you describe some obstacles that you see in football and maybe some areas where the program can do better on its own?
Well, I think when I first look at the program, and I, don't want to revolve everything around finances, but I just want to make sure that we have the resources we currently have committed to the right areas of the football program to help it be successful. And then it's obvious to me that my job will be to go out to raise more money and find new revenue streams through our program to support the football program and really all of our programs. It doesn't, you can do some data analysis and just follow the resources and you'll find some of the more successful programs. Not always, but I always talk about you have to be within a range. You got to be in striking distance with resources to be able to compete. You don't always need the best. We're always or the most. We're going to do more with less. That's my nature. That's, I believe, the culture of Kansas. We're going to do more with less, but we've got to move those resources and get them into a range that we can compete. So that's going to be a challenge of mine, and I'm ready to go to work to do that.
Hi, Jeff. Kevin Romery from Midcoast Sports Network here in town. You kind of touched on, I guess, the athletic programs there, but I'm sure you're well aware of one of the largest projects that this university has ever put on with the fundraising for the football stadium. How does that start, and how do you really get that going?
Well, I think first it starts with a thank you on behalf of the new athletic director to Mr. David Booth for that incredible commitment he made on the front end. That's an astonishing commitment. But at this point, I think, I need to get in and look at the plans of the stadium and understand better how they hope to get where they hope to get. I certainly, having a new football stadium, renovated football stadium, not a new football stadium, a renovated stadium. Don't start, I'm going to build a new football stadium. Renovate the football stadium and improve it for fan access and enjoyment. That takes an assessment as well. I have not had a chance to see the plans, and I haven't seen the fundraising plan that goes along with it. I know we have a tremendous initial gift that is really going to help get this program off the ground, and it already had. But I need to understand more about that, and I'm looking forward to understanding behind the scenes the rollout and what they hope to accomplish with the $300 million campaign.
Doug, I was wondering, not getting into specifics too much, but how quickly did you guys identify Jeff as somebody you wanted to really pursue in this process? And then, Jeff, I was just curious about, there's been a lot of new facilities built here in the last handful of years, and did that make this job more appealing to you, knowing that some of that stuff's kind of out of the way and you can move forward from there? So 2 different questions, but I didn't want to make Joe bring the mic back.
Appreciate that. I really asked Drew, Reggie, and Jed and the team to cast a broad net and not just think, but to think out of the box as well. So to look not just at sitting Power 5 ADs, but also ADs from other conferences, and then some non-ADs, some non-traditional folks. Having said that, one name kind of surfaced almost immediately, and it was this gentleman to my left. And as we went through, or really as they went through that process and we discussed it and started narrowing that field down, it became clear to us reasonably quickly. This whole thing went reasonably quickly. By academic standards, this went very quickly. But Jeff really just kept rising to the top in every conversation that we had, and of course, as Drew said, as you do your due diligence, and then you really want to start that conversation one-on-one and just really understand who the person is, what motivates them, what their passion is, what drives them, what's important to them, what their priorities are going to be, and does that fit, and does that align? And I think once we actually met, that came clear pretty quickly.
My answer, yes. My answer. I'm just a smiling fella up here. Just happy to be here. The facilities are great. My answer to that is twofold, really. Facilities are great. But I'll be candid, the challenge is what got me excited about Kansas, the challenge. And for an AD, some of us look for challenges. We like to compete, as I say. I'm coming here to compete, and I'm excited about that opportunity. And then further, I will just say this. You know what? Facilities are great. People are more important. You win with people, and our coaches, our staff, and our student athletes, they're going to be the formula for success. Yes, the facilities are great, but people make the difference.
Jeff, the 2 Kansas basketball players' names were mentioned in federal indictments, and you have language in your contract that has to do with, does that have anything to do, A, have anything to do with B, and what level of concern do you have that that could lead to something not good for Kansas?
Well, I'll answer this first.
Okay.
I will say that I'm very confident that Kansas, we're going to work through this process and we're going to be just fine. I think that was something I certainly considered as I decided to take the job. So, I'm very confident that we're going to work through this.
And I would add, Tom, that language was ours in discussion with our consultant, and knowing, of course, that story is out there, that conversation continues. We wanted to demonstrate our confidence in where we were with this and our ability to work through this, and our belief that we are not at risk in this. And so that was really our doing to put that language out there. That was not at his request. It was a way to reassure him that we are confident as well about where we are.
Hi, Jeff. Al Wallace, Fox 4 TV, WDAF out of Kansas City. You're no stranger to Big 12 athletics, working at Oklahoma, Power 5 League, Big 12, and the SEC. Over the years, from afar, what's been your perception of Kansas and Kansas athletics because you've competed against this school while at OU, and just from afar, what have you, over the years, thought about KU?
Well, first of all, when I think of Kansas, it's an incredible university. As I mentioned in my comments, an AAU institution that's world class. And I think about the passion of the fans that I've seen for my 30 plus years in intercollegiate athletics. Jayhawks are one of those brands you just know. And when I say it, I get chills because this is a special place. And I think you all know it, but I know it as well. Even though I'm not from Kansas, but I know that this is a special place, and it's one of those intercollegiate athletic programs that any AD would want to be a part of and lead. So I think it's a great school, great potential, and one that you like to compete against when you're not at Kansas. You like to compete against Kansas because of all of what it is.
Jeff, my name is Andrew Rosenthal. I'm from the University of Daily Kansan, the student newspaper at KU. The university has seen a decline in student attendance in both men's basketball and football events over the past 4 years. You talk about how the people have a connection to athletics. What's your outlook on finding the bridge between the athletic department and the student body?
Well, great question. First of all, I love the student body. I think our athletic program has to be reaching out to the student body. We need to be communicating with them and really talking with the student body to find out what are the things that they want to see, what are the things they want to participate in. Because truly, the student body is what makes the entire field house or arena or football field, they're the ones who make it exciting. So it's really important for us to get students engaged because students actually help bring other fans to the stadium because of their enthusiasm. So, I think our staff and I will go to work on that early on, trying to engage with students or continuing to engage with students and trying to find the things out that are important to them to get them into our venues. So, they're important. Our students are very important to that environment in any one of our competitive arenas.
Matt Galloway, Topeka Capital Journal. Jeff, when you look back at your time at Arkansas, what lessons did you learn that will help you here?
Well, first, I'm incredibly proud of what we accomplished at the University of Arkansas. I think if you look at the record of what we achieved and what we overcome, I'm very, very proud of it. I've learned many things, and I've learned many things from every stop along the way. I think if you check my record, I've been at a number of institutions, and again, they're all unique. And they all teach you different things. I know how competitive that conference was, and so I learned to compete even harder in that conference. And so I bring that with me to Kansas, that we're going to compete even harder as we work to our coaches and our student athletes.
Hey, Jeff. Ahe Gregorian, Kansas City Star. Greetings. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you if there was an unintended consequence of Christina being in the spotlight a little more than you would have liked with this, and in good humor, I wonder what that's been like in terms of you guys talking about you coming here and her being there.
Well, it started when I was at Arkansas and she was at Missouri. So you will find my youngest child has quite a personality, and she and I will we get after each other pretty good. So there'll be competition right here in the Long family between KU and Missouri. So I guarantee you that.
Benton Smith, Florida Journal World. Just curious how much you've been able to communicate with David Beatty so far. What are kind of the tones of those conversations, and what are your expectations for what you'd like to see out of this program this season?
Yeah, David and I have had telephone conversations, and really it's because he was headed off to his vacation. But, this is really the first time I've been on campus, since being hired. So I haven't had a chance to have much conversation. And matter of fact, today I will meet my athletic staff today for the first time. So, we haven't had any detailed discussions about the football program. I need to get here and see firsthand. I know he's a coach. I know he's a good person. I know he works hard. So, but we have not gotten any depth into about his this program. But I look forward to doing that and look forward to talk to him about his approach and his coaches and recruiting and everything they do that's involved with the football program.
I know first time on campus. Have you been to Lawrence before?
Well, I said to you, one of my guiding principles is going to be honesty, integrity. When the job opened, I jumped in my car and I drove up here to Lawrence, Kansas. I'd been here with Oklahoma and I'd been here with Arkansas, but when you come in and out for an athletic event, you really don't get to know the town. So I told my wife I was going to take a ride. So I jumped in the car and drove up here and really just spent a day driving around, walking around anonymously, going down the main street and having a cup of coffee. And so I just took the opportunity to really try to get to know the place. Because for me and my wife at this point, we are empty nesters. So our next spot needed to be a place that we could both be very happy as a couple, and I was overwhelmed and really excited about Lawrence, Kansas. So I've seen it in that way, so I've been to campus that way.
And I just wonder what the next few weeks are like as you transition to August 1st and.
Yes, that's a great question, and I want to thank the Chancellor for this. I had a previously planned vacation with my three wonderful daughters, so he's allowing me to do that. So we're going to take a little vacation, and then I'm going to hit the ground August 1 on my anniversary, full speed. We like to go. We're actually going to Yellowstone, so we're in search of wildlife. So we'll see.
You'll find it.
Jeff Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports. Welcome.
Hi, Dennis.
Hi. Forget the circumstances under which the three football coaches you hired left. Could you talk about the qualities that you saw in hiring Wannstedt and Petrino and Brett Bielema?
Yeah, as I look at coaches, first of all, I think about coaches as leaders of young men. They need to be able to lead. The X's and O's, trust me, they're important, and I get it, and we have to make sure that they know how to, coach the game. But I think leaders of young men is most important. So I look for that first. I do think that they've got to have an offensive or defensive style of play that that I believe will work in our program. Those are the things that I think I look for first and foremost.
I think we have time for one or two more questions before Jeff and Drew and the Chancellor need to head out.
KC Star. I just wondered, Jeff and the Chancellor, if Coach Self was able to speak with Jeff during the process and what Jeff thinks of Coach in the basketball program.
Well, thank you. Yes, and I saw firsthand why Bill Self is such a great recruiter, because I'll be candid, he recruited me here, and I'm proud of that, and that meant a lot to me. But Bill reached out, and he did. He recruited me, and that meant a lot, and I respect him. I've respected him, throughout my career in athletics. Again, he's someone that people look up to. He's been very engaged nationally with the NABC and those things. So, Bill Self is an admired coach, and I was, really excited to have a chance to talk with him and him share his views of Kansas and the program we had here. So,
yeah, and I would just add, Coach Self brings so much experience, expertise. He is very present on the national level and brings a lot of perspective. Obviously, has a lot of connections as well. So he was valuable for me as well through this process and bouncing ideas off him.
One last question from Tom.
Chancellor, you mentioned Jeff Long's national profile. Why is that important for Kansas to have an athletic national profile and connections?
I think having a number of things. First of all, one of my aspirations for KU is to continue to elevate the national profile of the university. And that's important as an AAU institution. It's important as a top-tier research institution. It's important from a recruiting perspective for our students, for our scholars. And as you bring leaders in, the opportunity to bring in people who have that national exposure really does help elevate our stature. Having said that, it also brings a different perspective. It brings a national perspective to your program, which is obviously a local regional program, but we do play on a national front in everything that we do. And so having that national expertise, that national profile, I think just really elevates all of us through the process.
Thank you all for coming today. And as Reggie mentioned at the beginning of the program, Chris and Jim are available for those of you in the media who would like to visit with some of the coaches. Thank you all very much for coming.
All right. Thank you, everyone.